Hello and welcome to the Virtual Cafe. I'm your host, Segilola Salami. And who have I got today?
You've got me, Alan Collins, lawyer in London.
Oh, hi, Alan. How are you today?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you, and I could really do with a decent cup of coffee. So
Yes, it's.
hopefully one will be on its way very.
Sorry?
Hello?
Yeah, sorry, the line was cracking up there. What did you say you would like?
Hello?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, say that again, please.
Cup of coffee. I'm desperate for a decent cup of coffee.
Right, if I remember, you wanted black, no milk, no sugar.
Exactly.
Oh, I feel so. I've got a regular now, so I do know what you like. Like, okay, what would you like for your coffee?
Right, coffee. I think I could do with. I think actually some ice cream. Yeah, some nice vanilla ice cream.
Food with coffee?
Yeah.
Yay.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I do have those ice blocks for the little human, so I guess we could get you one. So it's a nice
No, I
chocolate.
don't want one of those. No, thank you. No.
Well, someone's very fussy. Okay. Well, someone's fussy. Okay, what ice cream would you like then?
Vanilla.
Vanilla. So would you like one of those well, like a Maltesers
Oh
flavored
yeah, that'll do. Yeah, that'll do.
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. Right. So the little human is having a timeout at the moment. So I'll wait. I'll give her 5 minutes, and let's see if she's going to come around, and then we'll place your order. I hope you're not in a hurry.
I am in a hurry, so tell her to get a move on.
All right, I'll do that. Little human, come quickly. Right, she's on her way now. Okay, and who's next, please?
Felicia Denise from Tucson, Arizona. I'm the author of
Hi,
How You
Felicia.
Doing? I'm the
I'm good.
author of In the Best Interest of the Child, which was released in September, that deals with an attorney who was traumatized with child abuse and foster care, that now is a child advocate attorney trying to help children who went through the same thing that she did. And for the next 5 days, my book is free.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay. And is that just on Amazon or where is it free on?
It is actually on instafreebie.com. And if you go to my website, feliciadenise.com, there is a link.
Okay, cool. Right, so what would you like to have today?
A dark roast.
What?
A dark roast coffee.
See, I'm not a coffee drinker, right? Seriously, Alan, right? I find that these American guests, when they come, they're just really bougie and they just have all these fancy things that I
I
don't know.
am not bougie. I like a nice, dark, strong coffee. I
Yeah,
don't want a
Right.
I don't want a latte or a cappuccino or any of that stuff. I want a nice, dark, strong coffee.
sounds good.
Right, okay. Right, so no milk, no sugar.
2 sugars.
2 sugars, no milk. Okay, perfect. Right, and what would you like to have with your dark, strong
I'm
coffee?
I'm having another bear claw, okay?
Right, that's a fancy word for donuts, right? Why coffee would you say
Yes.
donuts? Okay, so do you want the hole in the middle donut or the jam in the middle donut? What kind of donut do you want?
No, it's fried and then it has glaze all over it.
Right, okay. Okay. Well, we'll ask the little human to see what she can do with that. Okay. Thank you very much. I've written your order down. I will whilst I get everyone's order. I will go and see the little human if she's had enough of timeout. Then we can get your orders together. Every now and then, you need to put them on timeout sometimes. So you don't end up banging your head against the wall.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Right. So who's next, please?
Oh, hi. I think this is Winona of the And I Thought Ladies. I'm one of the co-founders and co-hosts of the And I Thought television, radio, and podcast, as well as the co-authors of the And I Thought series. Co-founder of the And I Thought.
Hello, Wilnona.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
I think so.
Awesome. So I guess I'll do my introduction and tell you what I want.
Okay, yes, please.
All right. Hi, I'm Wilnona of the And I Thought Ladies, the co-founder and co-host of the And I Thought podcast, television show, and radio show. Co-founder of the And I Thought Ladies speaking group, and we write a series of books. And I thought divorce was bad, and I thought being grown up was easy, and I thought I did my journey alone, and I thought I could juggle it all. Today with me, we have Scarlett Black.
Hi.
Hello, Scarlett.
How are you?
I'm good as well, thank you. How are you?
Wonderful.
She is the founder of the Survivors Domestic Abuse Program that also helps children who have survived domestic abuse as well. And then I also have with me on the other side, because you can't see me, Ray.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
We're good, thanks.
Good
How are you?
morning.
Awesome.
Hi.
She speaks on generational abuse since like her grandmother was abused and the effects it had on the family. I think if I'm going to start ordering, I'll order a iced tea today, actually.
Okay.
Iced tea, because the sun was out all day in London, so I got to order something festive in the summer, like.
Yes, that sounds like a good plan.
And with that iced tea, I think I'll have a carrot cake with cheesecake, cream cheese icing.
Sorry, say that again, please.
I'll have a carrot cake with cream cheese icing.
Cream cheese icing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, sorry. It took me a second to process all of that. So carrot cake and cream cheese ice cream and iced tea, right?
Right. Scarlett?
Perfect. Okay.
Scarlett will have a latte mocha. And here in London, I came across this lumptious pastry with clotted milk in it. Oh, I would have that.
What, you mean cream teas?
No, it was the brownie.
The what?
It was a pudding. The pudding with the clotted milk in it.
Oh, well,
Yes.
we had it that place.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good.
Yes.
I have no idea what that is. Alan, do you?
Sounds good. I don't know what it is, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
It sounds good. But, so the only thing that came to mind was, with clotted cream, it was cream teas, and but they said it's.
Yeah, it's really called the sticky pudding.
Sticky toffee pudding.
Sticky toffee
Oh,
pudding with the
It's.
clotted cream.
It sounds.
Would
It sounds very lush.
would someone please tell the American what clotted milk is?
No,
Free.
it tastes too good to ruin.
Yes, it's just one of those things where you just have to try it for you to
Yes,
really
yes.
appreciate it. And if you have cream teas, right? I think the first time in my life when I had cream teas, right, for lack of a better word, heaven. It was just when you take that first bite and it feels like your eyeballs roll to the back of your head and you just like, oh. And especially when you have like Rhoda's clotted cream cheese, I can't even. You see, oh my God! You know what? Let's moving on. I'll go. Yes, I know what you want. We see that thing when you talk about it so much, and you just remember that taste. You just lose it. You just lose your faculty. You're like, oh my God, that's just too lush. It's just too lush. Yes. Okay. Right. Moving on. So, Little Humans. I will get her in a second to place your orders.
And we had
I'm sorry.
And we had one more lady present here.
Oh yeah, sorry, I almost forgot.
Okay, that's no problem. My order would be, I would love to have a caramel frappuccino. Let's see, with either coffee cake, if I could, which I love, or a blueberry muffin.
I think a blueberry muffin sounds good. Yes,
Yeah.
we'll go for that. We'll go for that.
Yes.
Sounds simple enough, right? Right, okay, right. So I've written all your orders down. and I will go get the little human. We'll get her out of time, But actually, today's episode is actually gives me. I can't even speak properly. It's giving me a massive big head because everyone here has been on the show at least once, which is absolutely great. Last week we were talking about with Felicia and Alan. We were talking about how to identify a child who's been abused, and Felicia was actually able to even relate it to the character in her book, which I thought was absolutely amazing. So today I wondered, what do you guys think is, so let's say we've identified a child who's been abused. How do you then get justice? How do you get how do you get a child to then get to terms with what's happened to him or her? And I know that the lawyer amongst us, or like the Americans like to say, the attorney amongst us, he's quite short for time, so we'll let him go first and give us his legal opinion.
Well, you've got lots of questions in your one question. A lot depends yeah, a lot is going to depend on child. If it's a child who is still a child who's been abused, then their needs are going to be probably very different to an adult who was abused as a child. But either way, you've got to adopt an holistic approach and try and work out with that individual what it is that they want, because justice means different things to different people.
Exactly.
But, and a lot is going to depend on that child's experiences, their personality, their background, and so on. But of course, the needs of a 10-year-old is going to be different to the needs of a 16-year-old, and the needs of an adult who's been abused as a child could be very, very different. But the common denominator is you've got to adopt an holistic approach so that that child or adult in choice about what they want to do. So the abuse has come to light somehow or other. Maybe there's been a disclosure or something happened, and you have got to work with that child, that person, to come up with an individual approach, an holistic one.
Right. Okay.
And justice could mean going to police. It might mean talking to a lawyer about taking a civil claim against the abuser or those responsible for the abuser, a school or an organisation that employed the abuser. So there's lots of different scenarios arrive at where that child stroke adult wants to go to. You've got to sit down with them and you've got to work out with them what is the right approach so that they can make an informed decision about where they want to go.
Exactly.
But now, isn't that, again, from stuff that you hear on TV and what people say, sometimes isn't it always a case of no one's going to believe me, it's a case of my word against their word sort of thing. So if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to explain a civil option like you mentioned, how would that work?
Right. Again, you've got some very important questions all in there. So a common situation that we find is that survivors, whether they be adults or children, have a real concern that if they speak out, that they are either not going to be believed, or they're going to be ridiculed, or they're going to be punished, or something equally unpleasant is going to happen to them, that they could end up in a worse place than they are in already. And of course, you've often got misplaced guilt, feeling of shame, embarrassment. So there's lots of powerful factors at play. So you've got to remember all of that. And so that's why I'm saying, when I have a survivor talking to me, I try and apply what I call an holistic approach so that they can work out where they want to go, having got themselves into this position where they're actually talking to somebody. And I may be the very first person that they've spoken about it.
Sorry, say that again, please.
I could be the first person that they have ever disclosed. Not always, but quite often I'm the very first person that they've confided in. And so that places an enormous onus to ensure that I can equip that person with the tools and the skills and the ideas and the thoughts so that they can work out what they need to do next, whether it's go to the police and make a complaint, been abused, or it might be accessing his therapy, counselling, consulting a doctor, or it might be talking about bringing a civil claim and working through with them what that means and why it might be very important as to why they should bring a claim against either the abuser or whoever it is who's responsible for the abuser. So there's a lot there, but it all comes back to sitting down with that individual and talking to them, listening to them, and I mean listen, because it's very, you know, you can listen but not listen. What I'm talking about is listening.
Yeah.
Hearing and listening. So you can establish a place with that survivor so that you can enable them to get the maximum out of that process.
Okay. So, okay. Yes, I see it, but you're also being quite diplomatic as well.
Diplomatic?
Yes. Well, I mean, I totally get listening because again, it's very important. And a lot of times, even regular people, sometimes we feel like, you know, we're trying to say something to someone, but no one's actually listening to us. So listening is definitely, I think, would be the most important thing. But let's say someone, you know, is listening to you talking now, and they're like, okay, well, you know what, I like the way, you know, Alan is he sounds like someone who would actually listen to me. But let's say, you're speaking to the person and you're trying to give them the different options, you know, available to them, you know, in respect to, say either going to speak to police or going to speak to a doctor, what sort of questions, would you, in addition to listening, after you've listened, gathered the facts, what sort of things would you be listening? Would you be saying, oh, have you got any written time and date stamp? Because again, I guess from a legal point of view, you would want to be able to say, make sure that it's not just a case of he says, she says, or he says, one person's word against the other.
But very often it is one person's word against another. And so I have to be thinking, well, if this person actually ended up in a courtroom, is it likely that a judge is going to say, yeah, I believe you. I believe these things happened.
Yes.
So, as a lawyer, I'm having to, as I'm listening, and because I'm going to have to give this person some advice, and they may well want to know, well, if I go to court, what's going to happen? So
yeah.
I have to point out, the strengths and weaknesses, or the potential strengths and weaknesses in their case, and what might happen if the case went to court, and whether I thought they stood a reasonable chance of being believed, succeeding, or whether there were too many problems that would get in the way. So, I have to give frank advice. And sometimes I have to say to people, yeah, you could end up in court and the judge may well think, yeah, it did happen, but can't be absolutely sure that whoever is being pursued in the court is actually responsible, and the case may fail. And cases can fall, can collapse and not succeed for all sorts of reasons. And it's not necessarily because the court doesn't believe what the survivor is complaining about. So, my job as a lawyer is to explain to survivors what I think may or may not happen if a survivor takes a particular course of action, for example, by taking somebody to court.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say
so as I said, very often it is one person's word against another, because child abuse happens behind closed doors, and very often there aren't witnesses.
Yes.
And the survivor may only be aware of what's happened to them, may not be aware of other children or other people having been abused.
Yeah.
So, we have to work our way through all of that. And I have to sometimes talk to them about, what might happen if they go to the police and report, their complaint of being abused to the police, and what would happen thereafter. So that's why I'm saying you have to apply an holistic approach to all of this so that you can equip the survivor to work out for themselves what the options are and which option they want to, take up.
Fabulous, fabulous. Have we still got you for much longer, or do you have to zoom up very soon?
Another 5 minutes, and then sadly I'm going to have to go.
Okay, no, thank you. Well, 5 minutes is good. We're not very demanding. We'll take our 5 minutes. Let me see now. Okay, so if a civil case is not an option, what other things would you recommend?
Well, what a survivor should always do is get as much information as possible from people who know what they're talking about and who can explain to them what the options are. So a survivor obviously always has the option to go to the police and make a complaint. And that's obviously the police are going to be looking to see if crimes have been committed, and if crimes have been committed, whether there's a reasonable chance that a prosecution can succeed, whether that's the right way to go. There is the option of pursuing a civil claim either against the abuser or against whoever is responsible for the abuser. That's quite different, because when a survivor makes a complaint to the police and there's then a prosecution, the survivor is effectively a witness for the prosecution. It's not their case. Whereas if they bring their own case, a civil case against the abuser or those responsible for the abuser, for example, a church or a school or some other organisation, it's their case, and the case is being brought by them against whoever. That's a very important distinction. And victims, stroke survivors often find that very empowering, because for the first time in their lives, they may be the ones who are actually taking control of the situation. So instead of reacting to all the negative and terrible consequences of being abused as a child, the table is now turned, because they are now the ones in the driving seat, not the abuser. So that's a very important consideration. It's very empowering, and survivors who've been through the process often report that for the first time in their life, they were in the driving seat and they feel empowered by it. So that's, for me, from my perspective, a very important consideration. Survivors often need support for, therapy or some other form of treatment. And there is now, treatment that's available to deal with the psychological consequences of abuse that are very, very successful. EMDR, cognitive behavior therapies, have a very good success rate. They can't turn the clock back, obviously, but these forms of treatment can make life a lot more bearable for survivors. Very good. That is also very important. And sometimes survivors have to bring civil claims for compensation in order to get the funds in order to pay for the treatment, because the treatment can be expensive and therefore difficult to access, because lots of people can't afford these sorts of treatments. So bringing a civil claim is empowering in another sense, because it enables the survivor to have the funds in order to access treatment. Sometimes survivors cannot bring civil claims, and that can be all sorts of different reasons. And so sometimes they have to fall back on the UK government's criminal injuries compensation scheme. That's a government fund that pays out compensation for victims of crime. And sometimes survivors are entitled to be compensated out of this fund. Now, in my opinion, the fund is far from generous. Other people might disagree with that, but in my opinion, it is not generous. But sometimes, the payments can make all the difference and might enable a survivor, for example, to access the treatment that they could not necessarily afford themselves. So there are quite a number of options for survivors that have to be looked into, discussed, and thought about, and the survivor then hopefully is in a position to decide what they want to do. At the end of the day, of course, they don't have to do anything. No one's going to make them do anything that they do not want to do.
Of course.
Yeah, it's that's something else that is important to stress. Survivors, they are, in a position to a certain extent, control their own destiny. No one, it's not for me to tell people what to do or not what to do, or anybody else come to that. No one should tell a survivor what to do or what not to do. They deserve the courtesy of being informed of what their rights are, what their options are, so that they can make what's for them the right decision.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, fabulous. Thank you very much. It seems that our 5 minutes is up.
I hope that's not too diplomatic, and it makes...
No, this one's much better. This one's much better. This was much better. Okay, so last one before we let you head off, right? If someone wants to get in touch with you, if someone's listening into this episode for the first time, how do they get in touch?
Best thing to do is call me on my mobile number, which is 07527329970, which is 07527329970, or they can email me, and my email address is alan, Collins, COLLINS, at hughjames.com. So that's alan.collins@hughjames.com.
Perfect. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, and hopefully we'll chat again next week.
Yeah, it'll be great. Okay, and have a good weekend, everybody. Look after each other and keep safe, and see you next week.
Take care, Alan.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so is he out? 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 we'll let the gentleman go, and then the ladies can let loose our hair and just go totally crazy. Right, okay, see, now I've been so warm, right, because I have the heater on and I had my dressing gown on, so now I've just taken it down. I'm like, you know what, this heat is a bit too much. I'm thinking I need to go and sneak to just turn up the heater for a bit, but now that I've taken the dressing gown off, it's all right, see, seriously, I shouldn't really be saying this, but I'm in my bedroom, right, and I've just got my hairnet on and my dressing gown on. You look outside the window, it's a miserable day in London, so it's like, yeah, whatever, I'm just gonna wear my dressing gown. But anywho, okay, right, so we got the official thing from a legal point of view. Now, was it Scarlett?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really surprised at myself. I've not got too much baby brain. I can't. How much longer do you think I can get away with using baby brain?
Till they're 18.
Perfect. Good one. I can use it literally. Okay. So now, if I remember, you're the one who works for the DSS.
I am.
Okay, cool. So you've heard all that Alan had to say. What do you think about that? How does it work in America?
Well, in America, not too different. Actually, Alan would come in after we have, got the family together.
Yeah.
And a proven case of child abuse, of course. The local DSS would be involved, and then we would, turn it over to the CPS, which is the Child Protection Service. And once they go through the Child Protective Service, then there's a lot of things that take place. And like Alan said, there's counseling that's offered. There is, if the family wants to just manage it within the household, that's allowable too. But they will have a social worker there working with them. And in any case, we verbally, we're in the home with the child that we know that has an issue of child abuse, helping that, not just the child, but helping that whole family deal with the issue, because yes, it is the child that's being abused, but there's a reason why. So we try to get through the whole issue of the whole family.
So how do you prove it then?
Well, that takes lots of times. When you listen to the child, you have to hear what they're not saying. A child is not going to come out and tell you that they've been abused. The family's not going to come out and tell you they've been abused. And then you have neighbors that see the abuse, but you can't go off of what the neighbors say because you're not there. So You talk to the child, and the child will give you clues. They'll give you clues to let you know that I'm in a household where I am absolutely not being taken care of. I am being abused. One of the clues that a child will give you, as if, the child will say, no, my mommy loves me. My family is wonderful, but in their eyes, they're saying something different. So once you get that child alone by themselves, and what we do, CPS and DSS, it's a wonderful program. And especially if it's a child.
Yeah.
A child will draw out the abuse. He will let them know in pictures and their drawings that I am an abused child, but yet my mommy and my family loves me. So when you see dark pictures of mommy and daddy, and the mommy is like, have tears running down her eyes, and daddy's right there holding mommy's hand. We've had that picture before. And of course, Child Protective Services does a lot. Yeah. I come in, whereas when the family needs that counseling piece of it, so that's where I come in. Once Child Protective Services diagnose that child needs the help.
Yeah.
And then, of course, attorneys like Alan is brought in.
Okay. Well, so I'm just trying to process everything you've just said. It's like all you're talking, all I can just see is just, a nice big, A4 size piece of cardboard paper. And, I'm seeing a stick figure of a mom crying and a dad holding their hand. And it's like, my brain just froze at that image there. So it was just taking me a moment to process it. Sorry.
It doesn't have to be a huge, big piece of cardboard. It can be like an 8x10 or a 10x11 construction paper. Kids love to draw, and they have the crayons and paper and all of that. And their little minds, especially if it's a small child, I'd say, toddler to elementary school, even as far as to 5th grade, they like to express themselves on paper. And so that is the best way that we have found to find out where the child is and how they're being abused.
Yeah.
So,
okay, no.
I know it's for me, but Renee is kind of like the same thing, because she basically was a child that was abused. And in her family, how she dealt with it, her mother was the one that was abused, and her being the child of an abused mom sets the light onto the children that come in to see us. So if I can, since the And I Thought ladies are here all together, I'd like Renee, when she's ready, to chime right in and pull her pieces together with me.
Yes, no, that would be great. Sorry, it's like, because the thing is, it's such a what we're talking about is, talking about the crayons and stuff, and I'm looking at my floor, I've got crayons all over, and then someone thought that my glass window would be a nice place, and my mirror would be a glass, lovely place to, use to try and express her creativity. And I wanted to wipe it up, but then it's like, I just looked at it and I was like, you know what, just leave it, because if you wipe it off, it's only going to get done again, and I'm just not going to be banging my head. I thought that time I would use in wiping the window and wiping the mirror, I'll just use it to do something else. And so, just talking about crayons, my mind just sort of freezes, because I'm looking at crayon all over my floor, and I'm like, yes, when, what, we'll have to pack all this up. So it's like, I'm just like trying to just put it all together.
So maybe if we had a child that was abused, when we come to your house, and we'll use your crayons. That would be wonderful.
Okay, Felicia, it seems because, we have to give Alan his 15 minutes of, his 15 minutes of fame. He's the only guy amongst us, so we had to give him his time. And, because again, attorneys, lawyers, whatever you want to call them, they're quite short on time anyway. So he was, kind enough to come and do his own spill. I thought, yes, let's give him his time. So it's like, yay, now you can bring it on. So tell us. Olivia, do you know what? I'm feeling really proud of myself today that I can actually remember all these things because normally I have really dodgy memory. Seriously, I'm just feeling like I'm on the bus, like I feel like I'm high on something, right? I'm not taking that, I just feel like I'm high on something because I'm remembering everything, right? So it was Olivia, right? Wasn't it, Felicia?
Yes.
So how did she get justice? Because I know that I remember, and anyway, I'm talking about a book. I haven't read this book, but just from having a conversation with Felicia last week, I feel like I know Olivia. She's weird.
In Olivia's
Ooh.
case, the police were involved.
Ah.
Olivia's her abuse finally ended for her because the guy was caught trying to rape her. Now she had been beaten and humiliated, verbally humiliated, but it wasn't until he tried to rape her that the neighbors actually called the police.
Wow.
But they had let everything else go because it was his wife that was beating her, but he was the one who tried to rape her.
And these were her foster parents.
Yes. She was placed and she was taken out of a very nice foster home and put into this foster home because her last foster parents, the foster father, had a heart attack.
Right. Wow. Okay. So what did the police do when they got involved?
Oh, he went to jail. She went to jail. And Olivia went to a foster care facility, and that's where she aged out of the system.
Right.
But see, Olivia's problem, the gist of the book is she never got help. She never got counseling. She packed all this stuff away in a nice little spot in the back of her mind, thought she was okay, and went on with her life. And now she's almost 40 years old, and it's coming back.
So I guess that's why it's important because, I guess it's like a kettle that's, reached boiling point. If you don't let it out, eventually it will burst out.
And she's a very smart woman. She's a very good child advocate attorney, but she's falling apart, having to represent this little girl whose case mirrors her own so closely. She's having meltdown after meltdown, and she's got to make some decisions.
See, now I love talking about your book, but I don't think I am, I'm trying to think of the right word. I don't think I am ballsy enough to want to read it because I think I'll probably just end up in tears.
That's what everyone is telling me. Everyone that's read it is telling me that they cried, but there's also some very humorous parts in the book. It's not one great big tear fest, okay? There's some humor in there too. I tried to keep a balance because I didn't want it to be a depressing story.
Okay, well, please, I hope there's lots of humor because just thinking about it, it would make a nice film, I think. I'm just trying to think who would be a good character for Olivia now. Who do you think, ladies? Who do you think would be a good character for Olivia?
A small child?
No, Olivia.
As an attorney.
As an attorney, she's currently 38 years old.
38.
I believe the lead of How to Get Away with Murder. Was it Violet? Is it?
Oh yes, Viola Davis. Oh, she was hardcore. Yeah. She was hardcore.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, she's good. She's good. But oh my god, you know what? The first time I saw her in the very first episode, right? I was like, damn, woman, you're just like literally that was all I could say. I was like, when words cannot explain something, you're just like, oh my god, you are amazing. First episode. That was just what I thought. But then she is such a good actress. Like she can go through the different emotions. Yes. Like at the very first episode, like you look at her and she just looks really. She gives Olivia Pope a runner for her money, right?
Yeah, she does.
That's unanimous. She would be unanimous. We all vote unanimously for her.
Yeah. So that's she would be really hardcore because if I think, right, and again, since Little Human came, I haven't been able to follow programs. I've lost track. I'm trying not to even think about all the programs I used to follow because I don't even know where I stopped. I don't even know where to start back from. Like I just think she would be absolutely amazing as Olivia. But do please do continue telling us about your story.
Well, in order for Olivia to help Rena, who is her client, she has to face up to her trauma. And she's also never been involved in a serious relationship with a man. And all of a sudden, there's a man who is part of Rena's extended support network who won't allow her to push him away. He sees her for who she is. And all of a sudden, she realizes she wants this relationship, but she's got to get help. It doesn't just go away. You can't just say, okay, I'm fine. She's got to admit it and get help. And she gets to that point in book 1, but now book 2, which is coming out next month, is how she's got to reconcile with her mother. Because Olivia ended up in foster care because her father was in a car accident. He was killed in a car accident. And her mother went into complicated grief disorder. And she could not deal with losing her husband, and she self-committed into a mental health facility. So this is how Olivia ended up in foster care with no other living relatives, and Olivia resents her mother for not being there. So now she's dealing with the trauma so that she can have a relationship with this man, but she knows she still can't move forward until she has it out with her mother, who is alive and well and healthy, still living in this mental health facility.
Wow. Wow. See now that you're saying that, it just then brings up something that, I've actually been thinking about. And you might think that I am morbid, but it's not because I am morbid. It's just because you hear so much and you see so much about life that you think, you know what, right? Nobody knows what. You can be walking out your streets and you can just get knocked down. Or you might be living in your house and, a truck might just decide, I'm just going to veer up the road and I'm just going to crash through and I'm just going to come and kill you in your bedroom. Anything can happen. And a lot of times, we humans, we try not to think about death. We like to think that, it's not going to happen to us anytime soon. And, we're going to live forever and ever and ever till we are 200. Part and parcel of life. As we are born, we have to die. As we are born, we have to die. And so, do you think that as parents, we should be making more? What's the word I'm looking for? Thinking more about what's going to happen when we're no more. Say, for instance, something happens. Like in an emergency, and we're then not capable of looking after our loved ones, especially our children. Do you think then that that would be one precaution that you, because for instance, I've got one of my daughters, she's got 2 godmamas, but I think I'm going to show them this episode. I just think my godmamas, my daughter's godmamas, they're wicked. One of them decided she was going to relocate to Canada, and I said to her, how can you relocate to Canada and leave your goddaughter in the UK? Isn't that the most selfish thing ever, right? I mean, I know Canadians are lovely and they've got nice big houses and you don't have to live in a shoebox in the UK and whatnot. But seriously, why would leave their goddaughter away and travels with her husband to another country? I don't know. I just think she's just my daughter's godmother is just really, really selfish. But anyway, I was just joking again. But yeah, so my daughter's, she's got 2 godmamas and 1 goddaddy. And I said to them, that if ever anything should happen to me, you guys should literally just swoop down and take this little child, and I said to them, if you do not do that, just make sure that ghosts are not real and people do not really care, because my ghost will come and it will torture you.
But the problem with that is you can't plan for every event. Because Olivia had people in her life that cared about her that would have taken her, but that's not legal. That
really?
Can't be done. They can't just take her because they want to. That's not legal. There was nothing in writing.
Right. So this has to be done in writing.
It has to be done legally. And there were people who wanted her. They agreed to become foster parents, but she was swooped in and said, no, there's not enough time for that. And she was lost in the system.
Oh dear. So basically she was screwed over, for lack of a better word, by the system.
Yeah, if it's not legal, the court's not going to do it. There has to be something in writing showing that's what the parents wanted.
Right. So is it something, a case that if I, so for instance, if I scribble, something on a piece of paper and give it to my friend and said, oh, in case of emergency, I would like you to be the sole guardian of my child, and just leave it with my friend? Or is that something you need to do and get a lawyer involved?
Yeah, you need a lawyer because they're going to want that notarized and witnessed and everything else.
Yeah, at least notarize it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
very important.
Here in the UK, as long as it's notarized, I mean the US, I'm sorry, I'm here with you guys now. 3 whole days and I'm staying.
Please do. I mean, I'm sure we've got good. What am I saying? Good. We've got fabulous cakes and desserts, right? I mean. So please do stay. Don't go back in. Hello.
I thought you were saying something.
No, the line cut off there. So I'm like, please do stay. Plus, France is only just down the road, and you know what they say about Frenchmen, right? So you literally. Sorry?
No, we don't.
Oh my God, they're fantastic. I didn't say that. My husband's in the other room. It was before I was married. It was before I was married.
And that was Kay, everybody. That's another one of the And I Thought ladies that's co-authoring on the books.
Hello.
Hi, Kay.
Oh my God, I've got a headache. I swear, you guys are just incorrigible.
Yes. But as I was saying, in the United States.
Yes, not the United Kingdom.
You don't have to have it a legal process of adoption or anything like that. And if the person has any blood ties, married, cousins, or whatever, we have a thing called the Kinship Care Network.
Okay.
So as long as you are related by birth, marriage, or any of that, that person can actually take that person that's in distress.
Right. Okay, so just hold on there for a second. Felicia.
Yes.
Your book is in the United States.
Yes.
Okay, now question, right? Because I know you got your continent of your own, and your different states have different laws. The kinship network thingy that Scarlett just said, was that, how come that was not applicable?
There was no blood relatives.
Okay.
So, but I thought she said blood, marriage, or something else. What was the other one?
Blood, marriage.
Scarlett?
Blood, marriage, or someone that just wrote, you could be blood, marriage, or if there is a friend who agrees to have that person. And a lot of times their friends will not step up because of the complications involved.
Oh, what sort of complications?
Well, number one, what's the background of the person? Unfortunately, what is the background? If this person has gone through trauma, a lot of people, and these are people in foster care, people who want to have a child, but if there's trauma in there, then the child they look at as maybe a little too difficult to handle because they're going through this process. So maybe that's why Olivia, what's her name? Olivia?
Olivia, yes.
Olivia, maybe that's why she fell through the cracks, because people look at the background. Am I going to be able to deal with the issues that this child is going to have from the abuse? So a lot of people back off. But the Kinship Care Network, it makes allowances for that person to have a person or an individual that is going through something where the parents are not there. Nobody else will take them in. The Kinship Care Network, and like I said, blood, marriage, or just family ties. That's basically it here in I'm in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, if I was there, for instance, and I give my friend, or my daughter's godmother or goddad, and I give his and of that, okay, in case of emergency, and I'm on, I'm incapacitated or whatever, I would like you to be the sole carer of my daughter. That would be legal, right? That would suffice, wouldn't it?
That would suffice in Maryland.
Okay.
Washington, D.C., Virginia. Yeah, I've done that. I've actually, we deal in a lot of abuse. And so I've actually had a child that was, we just had her write out, I want you all to be the guardians of this person until I can get it together. She was strung out on drugs and not able to take care of this person. And then there were some abuse issues because of her addiction. So we actually took the child, and he was 13 and had gotten kicked out of every school in the district. So we took him in, yes. And they let us do that legally.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, that sounds good. Like, it's a shame that Alan, had to go, because it would have been quite interesting to hear what he thinks, the equivalent would be in the UK. If a piece of paper would suffice, or if you need to get it notarized. Because, like I said, my daughter's godparents, they know that that if they don't step up, my ghost will haunt them. Seriously, I'm just hardcore, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even asking you. If you don't do it, you will get haunted by my ghost. My spirit will come after you. Okay?
That will work. But
See,
it does
Rena,
have to be notarized. I'm saying it does have to be notarized.
Oh, okay. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Felicia?
that's what's happening in the case that Olivia has. It's Rena, who was also in a car accident. Her mother was killed, and her father was severely injured. And there was only one blood relative, an uncle who lived across the country, and he was also sick. But
Right.
Rena had godparents who her parents had known since college, and they were on her christening record from the church. So when they tried to put her into foster care, the judge stayed the order from DCS and gave temporary custody to the godparents, because he did not see the sense in not allowing her to go with people who were not related to her by blood, to put her into a foster home with people who weren't related to her by blood.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was injured in the accident herself. She was traumatized. She had lost her mother, and these people had known her since birth.
Right.
He felt she should be in that environment.
Yes.
Yeah. So people that obviously genuinely love her unconditionally.
Yes.
Right.
And Olivia gets involved in the case to make sure Rena never gets to foster care.
Great.
Perfect. No, that sounds, she's just sounding, she's sounding a lot like Olivia Pope. Maybe not as we got Viola Davis, but then she's also sounding like, because I can just see how she was like, I can just imagine Olivia Pope's face, and then she just goes, enough.
Yes. I like strong female characters, and even though Olivia has her PTSD with her own childhood, she can stand up for this child and say, this is not going to happen. And she gave her all to keep this child out of foster care and to keep her with her godparents until her father was able to take care of her.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm hoping that anyone who's listening to this, will know that, if you've got children, just, even if you're not going to go all out and get a notary involved, just put a scrap piece of paper and go and threaten all your children's godparents and say, look, right, if anything happens, my ghost will haunt you. Okay?
She has made it paranormal. Oh my God.
Not quite.
Oh my God.
My ghost will haunt you. I will have a big machete, and I can go through doors.
Oh my God.
You cannot hide from me. I will have a ghostly machete, and I will chase you.
I think for a few dollars they can pay a notary and avoid your ghost, okay?
And a better piece of paper than scrap.
Yes.
Okay, well, seriously, I think it's a really good point though, because a lot of people don't think about these things. We all assume that um we're all going to live long and nothing bad's going to happen, but there are idiot drivers out there, absolute idiot drivers. Something that I don't talk about a lot, sort of what my podcast, and because I try to put my personal life out from what I do, sort of writing and stuff. And in a previous life, I was a pharmacist.
Oh.
Right.
Mhm.
I know. Some people think say pharmacist, and then you're talking about books, and you're writing paranormal, and you're writing all these stuff. What's the connection? So that's why I try not to put it all together. But something that made me stay away from mental health, in my profession as a pharmacist, was that something really mind-boggling happened when I was doing my training. So I did a rotation in a mental health hospital, and there's this woman who would stay with me for the rest of my life. You meet her, and she talks to you normally, and then 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 someone was telling me about her story, or I think she was the one. Someone told me, I don't know if it was a woman or someone else. They said that she was walking down the street and she was hit by a hit and run driver, and it affected her mentally, and so she then had to be institutionalized. So I can assume, right, that when she woke up that morning, when she was leaving her house, she probably had plans of what she was going to be spending the rest of her day doing. She had futures, but all of that was cut short because of some idiot driver who didn't even have the decency to stop. Right?
Yes. Yes.
So most of the times, we might have the best plans for the future. We might be thinking, but we know we're not in control of what other people do. So I think it would be a good plan for us to just take the few bucks, like you said, and use proper paper, not scrap paper, and not
Yes.
and not threaten people by use of ghosts. And then, because again, good thing though is like on your phones there is now something called like in groups there's called like in case of emergency. So that's your eyes. And you can put contacts in there, that's because again, most people are always, their phones are leached onto their body, and you can't even sew their if you have to cut off their hand before you can get off someone's phone out of them. So it's easier to get someone's in case of emergency contacts from the phone. And if you use people who you've said to take responsibility for your child emergency, then that would be great. Okay, so let me see. So how to get justice. So you basically need to just speak to that child. So then I think a lot of time from what Alan was saying, he was talking about it from an adult's point of view.
Okay.
That it's the adult who's coming and he's saying, listen. But then what if, right? How do you get justice for a child whose parents are the cause of the abuse?
Well, like Alan has said, justice is different things for different people.
Yes.
And while the abuser definitely needs to go through the legal system, sometimes that child needs the acknowledgement. The acknowledgement alone will set them on the course. It won't cure them, but it will set them on the course to knowing this person has been identified as doing something wrong. I did nothing wrong. They have to get over what was done to them, but now they can stop with the self-guilt and the self-loathing and try to move forward.
True.
Yeah. Is that kind of like when someone does something to upset you and the person apologizes?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times though, abusers will go to their grave denying it. They will not admit it at all. And how can someone get justice for someone who insists they did nothing wrong? Or the opposite, they blame the victim.
Yes.
Look at all the cases where you have the woman's boyfriend who molested the teenage daughter or the young daughter and says she wanted it, she asked for it, she teased me, she tormented me.
I know, right? That's just the most disgusting thing ever.
How is that child ever going to have a healthy mental outlook if she's being blamed for something she didn't do?
Right.
True again.
Yes.
And it's very hard for them to have a normal, not just a normal childhood, but even in adulthood.
Yeah.
It really carries, and the effects of it can be very, very traumatizing.
Yes.
In the fact that they self-medicate,
Yes.
they turn to alcohol and drugs, and
Yes.
they function as if nothing's wrong with me, but their uses, their destructive behavior says,
Yes.
I'm not healthy. I'm not forgiving myself, when it's really not. It's not their issue. It is the abuser's issue.
Yeah.
And so mental health is definitely needed. And I don't know about, what is it, New Jersey where you lived?
Felicia?
Felicia?
Tucson.
Arizona. I don't know about Arizona, but where I am, there are hardly any reputable mental institutions where someone
Exactly.
can go and get the help that they really. Now there's lots of counselors, but
Yes.
there's no institution that can dig that deep to find out what that deep, like you said before, they put it aside, they put it on the back burner, they don't deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems that I find is a big one.
You know what I found out when I was doing the research for my book, and I just started making phone calls as someone who needed assistance, and I was given hundreds of phone numbers, but no one said, how can we help you? They didn't ask me if I wanted a counselor, a therapist, medication, a facility. They gave me numbers.
Right.
People like pushing the bar onto someone else.
Exactly. So when I see all these commercials now that says there's help available, I want to say, where? With who?
Exactly. Tell me too.
And it's just crazy. And someone who is suffering doesn't have time to dial 24 numbers.
No, not at all.
I shared with Segilola last week that I had also worked a couple of years on a suicide hotline. And a lot of the people who called in had been sexually abused and could get no one to listen to them.
Yes, true.
So when you're giving someone this, laundry list of phone numbers, you're really not helping.
No, it takes more than that. Way more than that.
I know, it's like I'm just here and I'm just sort of rocking myself because it's like it's just you know what those where you're just speechless. You don't even know what to say. You're just like, ugh.
Put yourself in the shoes of someone who was molested by their father for 10 years. And now they're in their late 20s and they can't have a decent relationship with a man. They can't function or function at their job. And all of these things, it's weighing down on them. And no one can get connected enough to them to help them.
True.
Yes.
To us, it's mind boggling. We think, well, this person needs help, but you need to do this and we've got to do that. But in that person's shoes, when they have tried to reach out, and every time they reach out, they were shut down.
Yeah.
True.
And they just continue to suffer. And I just think, as we hear all these things about mental health with these school shootings and whatnot, it goes a lot further than just saying help is available.
True.
Yeah.
And here in the States, as everyone knows, this is all driven by funding.
Yes.
The very first places to suffer with budget cuts are the ones that help the kids. It's the one that help the mentally ill, the one that helps the senior citizens.
Yes.
And we need to do better for our people.
True.
Yes. Yes. You know one of those places where you're just at some point and you're just like, wow. You feel deflated. You don't even know what to say anymore. You're like, wow. You're just like, wow. I really don't know what to say now. Like, my mind is just trying to process everything, but it's like, I don't just can't put this. Wow. And it's a shame.
It's a painful subject. It causes you pain because you want to do something and you don't know what to do. And if you're not a professional in the field, your hands are tied even more.
So true. So true. Do you have a degree? Are you
Yes.
licensed? Are you
Yes.
qualified?
Yes.
A listening ear is a qualification, people.
Yes.
You know, you can't hug people anymore. I mean, where's the humanistic side of
Thank you.
mental
Thank
health?
you. Yes. It's not about just writing, making notes and giving someone a prescription and telling them to come back in 2 weeks.
And
Something fun. I read or I heard, and the thing is, I don't know how I hear or read all these random things, and I can never remember what it is that where I found it from. But apparently, right, there is this place, and again, it's just because I've got let's not say I've got dodgy memory. I've not got dodgy memory. I've got baby brain, right? And I can use that. Still, my little girl is 21. So, seeing as I'm still very much early in the baby brain thing, right, I read or I heard or someone told me, whichever it is, that there is a farm street or somewhere or something or someone somewhere, so I heard somewhere from somewhere something happened that they're due hugging cows where they have this contraption that they put it on the side of the cows and they put it close together to stimulate or to mimic that they are hugging the cows, because it's supposed to make, just like we humans, we feel good from when we are hugged, then it makes the cows feel good that they're being hugged, and so then that feel good hormones then goes and helps them to produce more milk.
What?
wow, that's interesting.
What?
Well said, Kat.
So we can put that kind of time and technology and energy into cows so we can have milk, and we can't invest that same kind of energy or technology into our children? Oh my God.
Okay, right. So another joke, right? And I hope your president-elect is not going to then send someone after me. But there is this joke, right, about America and Russia. Okay, I hope your president-elect doesn't get to hear this.
You're on the list now, lady.
So there's this joke about America and Russia, and it was back in the day when there was this whole mad rush to go to see, who goes to the moon first, right? Or wherever it was in outer space. And once you leave the Earth's gravitational pull, there's zero gravity, and so everything, floats. So Russia and America were then trying to decide, America was trying to be the first country to invent a pen that could work in zero gravity. And they spent millions and millions of dollars trying to come up with this pen. Do you know what the Russians did? They got a lead pencil.
Stop it. Stop it.
Laugh our way out of here because we've got to go.
Okay. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. I just think we have too much fun on this show. Seriously, I think I have more fun than everybody else that comes in here. Okay, right. Oh shoot! I forgot, and I didn't get the little human. I didn't go and find out if she's done with her timer. She's probably fallen asleep. Sorry, we didn't get you your fancy drinks. We'll have to do that next time.
Maybe next time.
Yes, maybe next time. So, ladies, let's start off with Felicia. If anyone wants to contact you for any reason, how do they get in touch?
They can reach me at FeliciaDeniseWrites@gmail.com. And there's also a contact form on my website, FeliciaDenise.com. Mm-hmm. And I am on Twitter at Ms. Felicia. And I'm on Instagram at Flee, FLE_D.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much. And you are the I Thought ladies?
Well, all of you ladies can always be reached at ladies, LADIES, at andwethought.com. That would be ANDWETHOUGHT. You can always find the ladies also and what we're up to at www.andwethought.com.
Perfect.
About her abuse program, that's ScarlettRBlack.com.
Perfect. Thank you very much. It's been absolutely fantastic having you guys on the show. And I thought, ladies, and so this is like your what? Your fourth appearance on the show? Is this your third one? I've lost track now.
Third.
This is your third, right? I wasn't sure. I said
four already.
Not a problem, not a problem. So hopefully we'll see you again sometime in the new year. And I'm going to see Felicia loads now because she's just coming to talk about her book till the end of the year.
Yes.
Yes, yes. But
Yes.
It's been an absolute pleasure, ladies. I'm going to go and I'm going to go and release the little human from timeout. I feel like a horrible mom.
Don't forget to get a copy of my book while it is free. It is free until the 16th.
Oh, and don't forget to get a copy of our books as well. You can find them at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and our website, NBthought.com. I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding us, Felicia.
No problem.
All right, then. Take care. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Take care.